Do you feel as a student you don't go out and participate and try and do different things on and around campus? Many NDSU students do not go out of their comfort zone to do these things. We are a mostly freshman class who live on or near campus that participate in all the events here on campus. We each have done our own research on what we would talk about and have experienced each of it in some way in our life. So, though some of us are out there as a student and partake in many activities, a lot of us do not go out there and try new things, and it really hinders your college experience. First, Yang here will speak on world conflict, and then I will speak on cultural diversity, and lastly, Sarah will finish us off with diversity in video games. So here's Yang on the topic of world conflict.
Thanks. Many foreign students are in NDSU, such as Brazil, China, South Korea, and Japan. Mostly, they are having good relationships with each other. However, lots of countries are undergoing conflict. So now I want to talk about two types of conflict. The first type is invisible conflict, and the second type is visible conflict. Now I want to introduce about invisible conflict as current situation between South Korea and China. In the Korean War, US government helped South Korea and Chinese government helped North Korea. And nowadays, US and South Korea government decide to host SAD, which is Missile Defense Program, for protecting South Korea from North Korea's missile. However, Chinese government upset about this decision because they say it threatens their national security. So now Chinese put economic penalty to South Korea. And lots of Korean companies lose Chinese customers and markets in China. According to CNN News, China keeps placing economic penalty to South Korea with many methods, such as trade or political pressure. Now I want to talk about visible conflict. Visible conflict was started from 1st century. At this time, they were fighting for their advantages. And now some countries are undergoing wars for lots of reasons. As you guys know, this is very dangerous and can hurt lots of people. For example, Israel and Lebanon are undergoing big or small wars, so they hurt lots of people and they died many people. Both two types of conflicts are very dangerous and give bad effects to people. So in the near future, I hope there is no war and no conflict. Now, Aaron will talk about different cultures.
Thanks, Yang. And now, while NDSU is a very large campus and many of us that live on here, many of us do not understand how we can become a more diverse area and more involved in different aspects of it. One way NDSU tries to do this is with different programs. One particular program that NDSU has is called the Community of Respect program. This consists of a 3-module breakdown informing us on different learning outcomes that could happen. The first module is a self-awareness class that teaches you self-awareness values. This explores the fact that everyone has their own different cultural values. The second module helps communicate between different cultures. They do this by teaching different verbal and nonverbal cues. And then the last module tests you on the first 2 modules on how well you've learned it. And then they give you a real-world situation to practice it. And then another way that NDSU in the multicultural area tries to incorporate diversity is through different organizations and fraternities and sororities. NDSU has 6 different organizations within the multicultural area, as well as different fraternities and sororities. This was according to the NDSU website that I found this on. And all these areas are focused on informing and creating diverse communities throughout the area. These different organizations host different events to showcase what they're all about and how to include everyone in the community and not just one person. The most recent event was a diversity dialogue that the multicultural area hosted on April 4th of this month. This event had a wide range of topics from privileges to cultural appropriation and to tolerance to inclusion. These events are always free to attend for anyone, and for anyone to attend with everything you would need to know online. If you ever had any questions, you could always talk to Jared Pigeon, the program coordinator of the multicultural area. And now, Sarah will finish us off with diversity and video games.
Thanks, Aaron. Diversity in video games goes beyond the widely discussed topics of race and just including women in general. Something I find really interesting is disabilities, in fact. According to McWhorter from Kotaku, Alex from Half-Life 2, which you've heard me ramble on about far too much, was supposed to know and use sign language within the video game. This is really interesting because people with hearing problems often don't get the same experience out of video games, whether it be because of audio cues for bosses or attacks or whatever, and therefore this kind of inclusion isn't really thought about or discussed because yes, subtitles are a thing, but they don't get across a lot of the things in video games that people with hearing do get across and those sorts of instinctual cues. In Overcooked, which is a little indie game where essentially you cook a lot of food, it's kind of fun. There is a raccoon chef you can unlock who is in a wheelchair. You don't notice this until you're actually in the game. In your character select screen, you only see a raccoon head. And functionally, he's exactly the same. He works all the same as the others. He goes at the same speed, all that jazz. But he's still in a wheelchair, and that kind of inclusion also doesn't happen a lot in video games. Another kind of inclusion that video games are starting to accept more, although it's still a slow process as it is in the wider world, is the Lgbt community. BioWare has been really good at this. They've been making RPGs for 10, 20 years, and Mass Effect and Dragon Age have both had romances where you could romance someone who was straight, lesbian, bisexual, gay, or alien, or elven, whatever you choose. It's kind of fun. And additionally, you can usually romance more than one character per playthrough. Skyrim has had same-sex marriage longer than the US has, which is something I find just absolutely fascinating. According to Yinpool in Eurogamer, who talked to some of the devs from Bethesda, you can marry any eligible NPC in the game. Whether or not they're the same sex as you or not, the game does not differentiate. There is no coding, there is no different dialogue, there is nothing of that sort. In addition, you can marry anybody who isn't the same race as you. So if you're an elf, for example, you can marry an orc or an Argonian, which is a lizard person, which I think is really cool. And now, Aaron will wrap us up.
All right, thanks, Sarah. Now, as you can see, there's many possibilities to get involved with on and around campus. So Yang first spoke about the world conflict, I then spoke about the cultural diversity aspect, and then Sarah finished off with diversity in video games. And so I just want to say, are you guys someone who would go out and try something new, or just simply lie around in your bed and not do anything ever with your life? We ask you to go out and find something new. It doesn't have to be something that we spoke about, just something new. Just go out, grab a friend, and experience what the world, or even just the campus, has to offer.